More than 300 first responders went to the Natalie building a year ago when a man was inside shooting at people. That gunman killed 4 innocent victims before killing himself.
An EMSA supervisor was on the scene within minutes of the call going out, and she tells News on 6's Craig Day that day was full of anxiety, angst, and adrenaline.
When the chaos happened at the Natalie building on the St. Francis campus, the day started like any other day. April Robinson with EMSA immediately knew it wasn't. She had just left the hospital.
I got about a mile away from St. Francis, and our dispatcher called and she said, "Hey, there's a active shooter at the Natalie building."
Robinson immediately turned around when she got the call and was second on the scene, right behind the officer who first charged inside.
I didn't know what he was walking into. With no help, no backup, he didn't wait. It was eerie. It was scary.
And incredibly brave.
Brave, absolutely, absolutely.
As an assistant field supervisor filling in for a full-time supervisor that day, Robinson was making sure EMSA's resources were where they needed them. She says in the immediacy of the tragedy, training kicks in.
In that moment, that's what you're trained to do.
Once law enforcement gave the all clear, they debriefed to check on everyone's mental health. Later, they evaluated how their response went.
We're stronger, knowing where we need to be and where we need to have all our, ambulances and our equipment.
Robinson is proud of how EMSA employees were ready, especially during such a chaotic situation. She says they'll prepare for what comes next and hope it's nothing so tragic. Craig Day, Oklahoma's own, News on 6.
Robinson says one of the hardest parts about responding to the tragedy that day is that EMSA's crew spends so much time at St. Francis. They know many of the employees there and are friends with them. That adds extra worry, which they had to push aside to focus on their response.
Of course, witnessing a traumatic event like that shooting can have a lasting impact on a person's life. Mental health experts say getting past that kind of trauma is different for everybody. They say witnesses could struggle with PTSD, anxiety, depression, even survivor's guilt. It can also affect people in the community who weren't even there.
Anytime there's any tragedy, it leaves a scar for the community and for the individuals involved.
St. Francis says it did add a virtual behavioral health provider so its employees could talk to a therapist if needed. And the hospital says that program gets about 100 visits a month.